Ew. I don't like that noise.
Hannah, I need water.
I just said I don't
There's
want
coconut
water.
flakes in the back of my throat. That chocolate was thick.
Okay, do you want me to go
Little
get
rich.
it? Or do you want to go get it? My
I-
mouth is satiated. Is that the word?
I don't saturated.
No. Satiated? I don't think that's the word I'm trying to find.
Whatever. But I brought us the chocolates, so I hate to pull that car.
Oh my god.
Nosy.
Well, I'm already leaving.
Exactly, and I called nosies in between two people, so I automatically win. And can you bring in the tennis ball? Please?
To be honest, I don't know where my water is.
What do you mean?
I didn't even bring it upstairs.
Did you leave it on your counter at your house?
No, it was in my car. Where's the tennis ball?
By the entrance to the pod. Oh, sweet. Thank you. The lights in here make everything shudder. Like, every moving object your eyes can't follow. We have these multicolored Christmas lights and these warm-toned Christmas lights. I want to say it's the multicolored, or a combination of the both. Throwing, like, multiple shadows. Well, actually, we'll say multiple. There's a lot of lights on these things, so it's a string of lights. I can't believe it. They're cheap. Cheap. String of lights.
It's because it was right after Christmas.
Well, yeah, but, like, even on Christmas, like, these lights are fantastic.
I'm saying they were cheap because...
Well, yeah.
Right after.
Well, that's an add-on to this whole Fandango. Fandingo? Alaptacopta.
Alright, and we're back. I'm out of breath, but we're back. Okay.
Your iPad turned off.
Oh my god.
Was that supposed to happen?
No, but we know the topic today, don't we?
All right. Do you want to stop this and start it again? All right, we're back. Wowee, wow, whoa. I got a tennis ball this time, and yeah.
And some water.
And some water
We had
that we
some
share.
Really great chocolate rounds.
Well, first, let me bring it back to the water situation.
Oh.
We share it because animals shared water from the watering hole in the Sahara, where we all came from, and I think it's only right to have that shared experience of sipping from the same bottle.
That's why we share it? I thought just because I have a better top to my water bottle than you do.
Yeah, and mine is elsewhere.
Yeah, I always have mine on me. Don't lie to the people.
No, that's honestly why I like it. It's like, oh, okay, I don't mind it.
okay.
Like, it builds, I don't know.
Character.
No, it builds a relationship. It's like, okay, we share the same water. Like, I care for this water and you care for this water.
I guess I really trust you and I'm really in love with you because you had mono and I've never had mono. So. I could get mono at any point.
I completely forgot I had mono.
I remember you saying that to me and I was like, yeah, I've never had mono before, but now I might because we share the same water bottle. But you only get mono once, don't you?
Well, it comes back. You never really get rid of it, they say.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where does it hide? Like in your tonsils?
I don't know.
In your ears? Maybe.
I don't know.
We don't know.
It's like Lyme disease to some degree.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But your body like builds up an immune to it, and then it flares up if you get like super stressed out or like I don't know, something happens.
That's intense.
All right. But that's not really what we're talking about today, is it?
But speaking of shared things, guess what we're talking about today? You can probably guess by the title, but I'm
I'm trying to cover it up.
We're talking about
you can't hide anything from these mics.
I was gonna say we're talking about what we're talking about today, but you don't want to burp in the mic.
We're talking about sexual frustration.
Okay, this is our little health class 101, but it's not at all health class. We're just talking about sexual frustration.
Yeah, in no means am I professional in this this
No, but I think we all deal with it.
genre. Yeah.
And so I also think for the fact that we all deal with it, we don't ever talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's never talked about, and if it is talked about, it's kind of talked about in a weird way.
I think it's referenced when something like happens, like an outlash or like an outburst, like something negative happens. Ding.
Okay, I'm gonna turn this off, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is hilarious. And I have to say this. So my sister and her boyfriend went to DC for their anniversary because I don't even really know, but they had this like 2-hour stop in New York because they took a bus, and my sister just texted me and goes, "Caleb almost got hit by a car in New York." And I shouldn't be funny, but
If you knew him, it would.
it's terrible, but yeah. It's just a funny situation because of course that would happen. Like, I was honestly expecting a text saying that they missed their connecting bus. But no, he almost got hit by a car. So
I'm glad he didn't. I feel like New York drivers are just expecting to hit somebody.
They really are ruthless. They're like, well, people are walking across the street. What am I supposed to do? Like, I feel like in New York, it's one of those things where it's like, if you hit someone,
you could just take off.
Well, you can either just take off, or they can get
Probably
away
not,
with
though.
it, probably, because they're like, yeah, everyone's just walking across the street when they're not supposed to.
Yeah, if you're jaywalking.
Yeah.
But I feel like no matter what, if you're in a crosswalk, you're safe. Like, not safe from, like, a car moving 35 miles per hour.
But you're safe by the law.
By the law. The law has your back if you make it.
The law has your back if you still have one.
If you survive. It's terrible.
I know. I know.
It's nice to make light of some hard things.
Yeah, I guess. But anyways, so what was I even saying before? Frustration.
Yeah. And when it's mentioned, when we talk about it, it's usually only talked about when it's an outburst. Like, not even we don't even really like, I don't know, connect the things like, oh, that person freaked out and like punched that guy, or like freaked out, started yelling in the cafe. Like, you might have just been sexually frustrated. Mm. Like the old saying, like, you should just get laid. Like, yeah, you should.
And I think it's interesting because, I mean, I can't talk for all women, but I feel like it's different for us. It's different for us than it is for you.
How so?
Because when I'm sexually frustrated, I don't lash out, like, physically. I think it's more emotionally. Mm. And sometimes I don't even really lash out. I also think that while we both can get sexually frustrated, I feel like women are more used to being sexually frustrated because in a lot of relationships, or not even relationships, and just a lot of times in terms of sex, women don't get anywhere, or like they don't get as much pleasure out of it as men do, you know?
They don't get to that place.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about that more, but that's what I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think with men, they put it off a lot of the times. It's
mean?
Either not put off or it's not even recognized. It's kind of just like outside their head. If they don't have like a regular, well, for lack of a better word, fapping or masturbation schedule.
I'd much rather you say masturbation.
Fap. Well, that's a thing. Like no fapping. That's an interesting thing too. I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I don't like that word. I don't know why.
Fap. I think it's just like a reference to the sound it makes, but I have never once heard that sound in the process of.
I'd much rather masturbation be the word used.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, who am I to say what people use? I just think it's a weird word. Just like I don't like the word knob. I think that's a terrible word.
Pamphlet.
Yeah.
Pamphlet.
I hate that word.
Pamphlet.
I'm adding fap to my words of things I don't like.
We'll make a pamphlet of them.
Oh my god, thank you. Yeah, for a reference, I hate the word pamphlet because there shouldn't be a in the middle of a word. But that's besides the point. The point is, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's weird because I guess you wouldn't really call sexual frustration an emotion. It's like a feeling, though. No,
I think it's a buildup of emotion.
Yes, I mean, but it's also a form of frustration, which is like a feeling. So I guess, yeah.
Well, I mean, frustration's an emotion.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
guess
true.
it's the an action of an emotion, really, because it's like the buildup of emotion that you like without expression, or a thought that you can't express. So there's like frustration there. So it's a buildup of like
Yeah.
energy that can't be released.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But it's interesting because even if it is, we don't treat it as one. No, we don't treat it as something normal that people deal with. We kind of, I think anything related to sex usually is really,
Gets swept under the table. We don't like
yeah.
to talk about it, which
It's-
is really strange. It's such a beautiful thing.
it's a beautiful thing, but it's also weird that we don't like to talk about it because it's, I wouldn't say it's like prominent now, but like compared to other eras, I feel like it's very prominent.
Yeah.
And it's more relaxed. Like the talk about it is more relaxed than it has been. But I don't know. I think a lot of the other like, like confusion or like angry emotions or upsetting emotions can be tied to sexual frustration in a lot of, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's definitely not something we tie into like scenarios. Scenarios where like a person, like say it's a friend, like is just acting weird towards us. I don't know. Just like any emotion though, we don't really talk about our emotions.
No.
And like that's one step further away from emotion too, because like a sexual emotion, so it's
It's like, oh,
double taboo.
yeah, it's like, okay, talking about emotions, uncomfortable, we don't really like it. And then it's like, oh, sexual frustration, things have to do with sex. We really, really don't like that. And we
Yeah.
really don't want to talk about it,
Interesting.
It's really strange. But,
Puritanism.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really get why it's such a weird thing to talk about. But
I think it's been indoctrinated into us
I think so too.
through some religious perspectives.
Maybe?
I think so.
I also just think that in terms of like the school system too, like at least I mean, I went to a really small school and I had to be there from like kindergarten to like 8th grade, but it goes from preschool to 8th grade. And yeah, even there if you were caught holding hands with people or anything like that, it was like no, like don't do that. So I think that kind of put a bit of fear into like my age group because I kind of get where they were coming from. We were, also around younger kids, so for them to kind of, I don't know. I guess at that point they were like, for them to see that is weird or uncomfortable or wrong, but it's like,
who's gonna teach them? Like the teachers that are like how much older than them, or like the kids around their age group?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, like they're holding hands. Like if you like someone, you can hold their hand.
I never had like a health class either. I had one instance in like 5th or 6th grade or something like that where we watched the movie, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that was the only instance. And then we talked about like the reproductive system in science, and that was it. We were never taught about anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think for a while, I was like really weirded out. And I think still, like, just recently, I've gotten over the fear of like public intimacy or like being like lovey on someone's arm or something when I'm out in public with them. But I used to be terrified of that, and I think it stems from that, which is a completely different topic. But
Well, not really though, because then like by you not wanting to express that, then frustration builds, and you don't know necessarily where it's coming from because you know nothing different.
that's true, yeah. And I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like I've no way of realizing that it's sexual.
And to like branch this out all over the board, like what else is like that? Like something so natural inside of us, like one of the deepest roots of humanity, society has just kind of cast away and like strongly ignores, like works to ignore it. And then we walk around feeling strange outside of like our own personal space because for some reason it's suppressed,
Yeah, and it's extremely natural. Like not even just the human race does it. Obviously, like everyone, like all species do it. But it's also a weird. I mean, I guess that's a complete. I don't really want to go into like too many different topics here.
No, let your mind talk. It's connected.
Well, I was gonna say, it's weird how we shy away from anything that has to do with sex. But then if someone comes out and says they're asexual, people are like, oh my gosh, no, like how could you, like blah blah blah, like what? That's so wrong. And it's like, okay, but then where do you lay? Because you're weird when people talk about sex, and you're weird when people don't want sex. So it's like, where are you?
I think we need to just think about it as what it is too.
Yeah.
In all reality, I think we have this skewed view that we really don't touch this like definition of what sex is that's ingrained in us in a young age, like what you said, like even holding hands.
Yeah.
So to like look at it now as an adult, it's like, I don't know, and then to explore it also, it's something completely different.
Yeah.
I'm willing to say we were lied to, honestly.
Yeah. It's a primal instinct.
Yeah.
And like that's one of the reasons. I think that's one of like the reasons that we're here. I can't remember like what pyramid I saw or read or something was like the reasons, like the instincts and reasons for living. I can't remember where I found that. If someone can find that for me, that'd be great. If you know what I'm talking about, I don't even know what it's called.
Okay.
But it was like, you know, eating, drinking, like water, you know, finding shelter, and then it's like.
Oh, the like
reproduce.
base instincts of humanity.
I don't even know what's instincts. It was like the main concerns, I guess. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah.
But like reproducing is one of them. Like that's kind of like what all species do.
And I think we're at a point now, which we've been at for a long time, but kind of like shied away from and been uncomfortable with it. But like we're focusing now on the feeling of it and the emotion behind it, not necessarily even like the action of it. We kind of take for granted that we're able to reproduce and are able to reproduce with a large variety of people, so we're not worried about really like inbreeding or ruining like bloodlines. So we're able to kind of like rid ourselves of that worry and focus on the beauty of it instead of, and I feel like that's with a lot of things too, with like eating. We can focus on eating what we want to eat. With sex, we can focus on like having sex with who we want to have sex with, who we want to like engage. Like we find the personality we love and we want to like connect with.
Yeah, it's different for other species because it's like, okay, we have to, you know, like
it's a necessity.
It's a necessity. Yeah. Where we have the luxury of being able to reproduce or just, you know, have sex, even just casual sex. Like that's the thing that we have the luxury of doing without being like, you know, I have to have babies right now. You know, like we're extremely lucky in that aspect, and we don't really look at it that way. We look at it as, I don't even know, like if there's something to shy away from, or a lot of the times people aren't happy.
Even like an obligation, like not even thought into, just like, oh, this is something I have to do.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I feel for a while, I just assumed that's like what love was. Like that's what connected you in a relationship. And I think it's so weird, and I think it has to do with the fact that I never really had a health class except for in high school, but you know, health classes overall are like
I think a sexual history class would be necessary.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Honestly.
I would love to learn about that.
So to like give you the basis of it and like, okay, like start from the beginning of like where we just started, the base of like, okay, eating, sleeping, drinking, and then like reproducing, and then like go from there, and then like through Rome and all these like different places of like, I don't know, like bisexuality, homosexuality, and then seeing it like in today's light and how we treat it and how it was treated back then and really what it is.
That'd be beautiful.
Honestly.
I mean, but the thing is, and even with that, like, you can't really find much on homosexuality because no one wanted to come out and say like, this is what I am, because because it was considered wrong, or even for a while it wasn't, like it was normal. And like I can't remember, I wish I had more facts, like actual facts in front of me, like statistics, but I think I told you at one point that some army would encourage homosexuality so that they like have a deeper connection with their soldiers, so they want to like, they would fight as hard as they can to protect them because they had that connection. That is another thing, like homosexuality, the way it's seen even now, like it's getting better, like it's being seen as like a more normal thing, but I don't know, that in itself can cause a lot of frustration, because if you're in a family that doesn't support that, you know, that in itself can be like, I just want that connection, I want to be able to do what other people do, and it can also make you extremely sexually frustrated in the fact that you just don't have a partner or like someone to do that with.
Yeah, and then like on the other end of it too, it kind of like separates you from your family. So then you're just out in this open space, like, oh God, what do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just need to be a lot more accepting, and by accepting, open-minded to like what people really want to do with their lives.
I mean,
Who are we to say that you can't do what makes you feel good?
right? Like, who am I to say that who you are like having sex with is wrong?
Yeah.
Like, I could say anyone can say that about anyone.
I think it's like with a lot of things, it's definitely something deep ingrained in us. Say like, I don't know, two females are having sex and the father finds out, it's like, oh no, like you're not gonna have a child, and then like the bloodline of like our, like we'll say body is carried on.
Yeah.
I think that's like a deep rooted like fear that we don't really recognize as a fear, so we can't be like, okay, like this is a different time, like
Yeah.
we're different things at this point.
I-
We're not really animals. We are, but I think we've surpassed some primal level, and we're in a different space. And I think we're even on the doorstep of a different space. Like Alan Moore mentioned, us turning from a liquid state to a gas, and I think before that we were a solid.
I also think that another thing is that people don't like something that is different to them. They're not open-minded. So if something is completely different than what they've grown up to learn, or just like, or are, they're like, this is
have been
wrong.
exposed to.
Like, oh my gosh, no, this is how it's supposed to be. But it's like, there are no rules. There are really no rules. The rules have been made by random people. Like, who are we to say that their rules are correct when I have other rules? It's just messed up, and I think it's also. Oh, I was gonna go somewhere with that. I don't know. I just think that it's like veganism is another way. You know, people don't like to. They learn one way, and they're like, "Wait, that could be wrong."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of frustration across the board with people just feeling like they can't be who they want to be or do what they want to do. You see it a lot in the workplace. People just don't even really want to talk about what they want to talk about.
Yeah.
Or even act the way they want to act. Like, who wants to talk about CNN all goddamn day, or what the fuck Trump is tweeting about? Like, how boring is that?
And I love that, but in terms of expression, like, who wants to? And it's sad because I'm sure a lot of people don't want to do this, but they feel like they have to make money or to survive. It's like, if
to secure their income.
Yeah, like
their spot.
If I could never do a full-time office job. And it's because I will be damned if I will sit there in pencil skirts and button-up shirts and high heels and looking really pretty and nice and whatever the heck all the time and doing a job on the computer constantly. Like, no. So if I did have that job, but I want to be completely different, I want to be covered in tattoos, I want to be this, and this, but I'm like, oh, money, I need to live, so they do that instead. You're not going to be rich in the aspect of happiness. Like,
and I think we really need to think of what money can do for us. I think a lot of people think, like, oh, money makes you rich, but in turn, it's rich because it can buy you something that makes you feel something, and we automatically think that feeling is happiness, and not even necessarily joy. I think there's a clear distinction between joy and happiness.
I agree.
So, like, joy is this short-lived kind of like, oh, this is cool, this is exciting.
Yeah.
But then happiness is just, I think it's a euphoric resonance that just stays with you for a little bit. And just, like, you sit in. And, like, no matter what, you can look around at anything. It's just beautiful. You're happy. You're satisfied.
Yeah. And I don't know. And in terms... I don't even know where I want to go with that. I'm just... Did I sound like I had an accent?
Yeah,
there?
I was
What
going to
just
say that was a
happened?
little British nerve.
No, that was more Australian.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny.
You're really good with those.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry?
Thank you.
You're,
I don't
you're
even think that
welcome.
was that good.
No.
I was just trying to do it, but I have to speak more sentences. But I don't know. Yeah, I really think sexual frustration needs to be addressed more. And I think another thing, because we were talking about this today, how people are almost afraid to talk and to say that they're sexually frustrated because, like, you don't want to come off like
You're asking for something.
exactly. You don't want to
like you're
make
prying.
someone feel like they have to do something. Like, please fix this problem. Like, you're here, I'm here. Like, I'm sexually frustrated. Can you please fix that for me? Like, no one wants to be that, like, to push that way, but I think it's only pushed that way because we don't talk about sexual frustration. And if we were, like, used to talking about it, we wouldn't be feeling like we were pushing.
Yeah. And I think it's only felt as pushing because we don't talk about it, and then the people who are sexually frustrated lash out, and then we're like, oh, you're sexually frustrated? Like, I don't know, what are you going to do, you know?
Yeah.
Instead, it's like, okay, like, I'm explaining to you why I'm acting different or oddly. Like, this is just where I'm at right now.
Yeah. No, I 1000% agree. I also think that the way to, I don't know how to explain it. I guess the outlet of sexual frustration, like how you get over that, is interesting because as animals we want to have that connection with someone. And so immediately we're like, well, I'm not having sex with anyone. Like, so I'm frustrated. But, like, there are other ways you can get rid of your sexual frustration. No?
Yeah, and touching on this, a lot of porn sites are suggesting a lot of strange content and almost like pushing it. Like making it so you have to surf through all these these things that they want you to see for some reason. Like it's not just me, it's not just like targeted towards me. When I was using porn, it was a lot of like incestual like role play and strange things like that, like mother and son, like brother and sister, which is very strange. Very strange. And I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure that those are people's, you know,
Deep-rooted fantasy
kinks or
somehow.
whatever.
But I don't know, because it's across the board.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like, if it's entire humanity, like, I don't know.
It is interesting. I've never thought about it that way. I've kind of just been like, oh, someone's interested in that, you know? Not like, oh,
But it's consistently, and it's like different types or different videos, and it's like in different genres. I just think it's interesting that that's what is coming up, because you're talking about like these connections that we're all longing for, this deep-rooted connection, this, I don't know, this personal connection. But then for it to show that and like, I don't know, have kids just going on this thing, just like finding it and thinking that's what's normal.
Well,
that's what makes me afraid.
That's the thing that bothers me most, because health class should be the class or should be the place that tells you how to have sex and like teaches you about these types of things. Like nowadays, kids are finding out about sex and learning about sex through porn, and porn is unrealistic.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there are like certain videos here and there, whatever, but in the general, like in the generalization of it, it's extremely wrong. Like now kids are learning that, oh, being extremely rough is like normal, and like, you know, doing this and this and this is normal, but it's like no. And I think it's like weird because you find a lot of people who like are really into that, and it's because they learned it through porn and that's the only thing they know, where like you don't teach like the connection, like this like sexual connection at all. You just teach, okay, this is what a penis is, this is what a vagina is, but it's like,
and it'll make you feel good. It's not like, okay, like is this like a co-created thing that like I'm only on one side of, like the yin and yang.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and that's why I think tantra sex is so beautiful, because it's about that connection. It's about the both of you feeling each other and feeling each other's energy, and like,
yeah, not to climax.
No, it's there to connect with someone rather. That was my foot. Okay. Yeah, but it's there for you to feel that connection with someone, and not just like, okay, let me, get off and then done. Which touches upon. Sorry, do you want to say something before?
No, I was going to say exactly what you were going to say.
Oh yeah, which touches upon, to me, like, I think men and women generally, I'm going to say this generally, like, deal with sexual frustration in different ways and how they feel it. Because as a woman, I believe that my sexual frustration is normalized for me. Because when it comes to sex, a lot of the times it's like, okay, you go until the man can't anymore, or like until the man does his thing, and then you're just there.
Interesting.
And then you're just like left with that like buildup, again, more buildup of emotion and no release whatsoever. And men don't want to go back and do anything.
That's interesting you say that, and I think there's a lot put on the guy in that situation. But we're in the U.S. right now where circumcision is very common, and circumcision cuts away like I don't know, one of the key portions of the penis, which covers up like the sensitive organ of the head. So like with the head exposed, like the guys are feeling so much sensation and like come quicker.
Right.
So if we just like maybe that's why there's that stereotype of like women going to Europe and finding a guy that rocks their world and like, oh, I love European men. They're different.
It's
like,
because they can last longer.
Yeah, they're circumcised or they're uncircumcised.
And I never thought about that.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, circumcision is a big problem.
Definitely.
But I'm sure we'll do a blog. I'm sure you would love to do a blog post on that.
Honestly, yeah. As a male and like just turning 20 and finally realizing like how much was taken from me without even knowing it, and like without my mom or like my mother or father really realizing what was done, like that's mutilation. The first thing your child gets when it comes into this world is not the embrace of the mother or the caring eyes of the family, but a cold knife to their genitals.
Yeah.
Like what kind of society would justify this?
Yeah, I mean, and then we talk about, you know, I can't remember where it is. I don't know how I have any statistics. I'm terrible with this type of stuff, but the girls like the genital mutilation and.
It was definitely in Africa, somewhere in Africa.
Someplace in Africa, and everyone was so appalled by it, which it is appalling. It is extremely terrifying and extremely inhumane and just terrible overall. But, like, we're also doing it to our children here in the U.S., and we don't talk about it because it's
normalized.
It's marketed as, like, normal. It's marketed as, something that will help your child and like keep it clean, you know. It's like, no, that's there to keep your penis clean.
Yeah.
It's there to like it's there for so many reasons, and I'm sure we'll talk about that some other time. But yeah, that could be a big thing. And but the thing is though, I don't know, like it's one thing for, you know, them to orgasm and then be like, okay, let me come back and help you. But a lot of the times it's just like, okay, that's where it ends.
Well, I think a lot of that is it's so draining. It is so draining. Like this is like the stereotype of the male salmon after it reproduces, it just dies. And that's kind of what it feels like in some degree. Like sometimes you're just like, damn, I'm just gonna lay here. I don't really feel like I can move or should move.
I mean, yeah, and there's that, but then I'm not saying like, oh, get over that and, you know, help me, but like that's where female frustration a lot of the times comes from. And well, I don't know.
I'm gonna cut in. I think it's just who you're having sex with and why. Like if there's not any love and caring involved, then you're gonna have no reason to go back after you. I don't know. Yeah. You climax. Like a lot of times, I was talking to a friend recently, and he said he was really interested in this girl, and like he was talking to her, like dropping little hints, like little like flirtatious comments here and there, and then like kept on asking her to hang out, and then come to find out like he wasn't masturbating, and then he went home, and he did. And then everything just kind of came to him like, oh my God, I have no real interest in this woman's personality.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's not even necessarily like he was doing it on purpose. It was just like the frustration was building out and there's an outlet there.
Yeah. And I think And I think that's why masturbation should be talked about more, because I think it's very important. And not only just for that, for sexual frustration, but also to get to know you and your body, which I think is important in every aspect, in any aspect. But I think also with women, we are a little more emotional. So, like, when we find someone and, like, have sex with them, and a lot of the times it's like, I like you. That's why. And I think maybe I'm stereotyping, and I probably am throughout this entire thing, so I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, you can only speak from your perspective.
Exactly. So I am speaking from my perspective, I guess. But it's always been an emotional thing, whereas I feel like guys a lot of the time were just like, okay, let's just do it so I can get this over with and have that with someone so I don't have to beat it off again by myself. And then
I think us as humans just don't want to be alone. We really don't. And then a lot of the times, like, we don't even recognize, like, okay, if this person was willing to have sex with us, they, to some degree, trusted us and enjoyed us. Like, have a conversation afterwards, like, what's going on in your life?
And a lot of the times, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Which is so sad.
I feel like there's a lot of alcohol and intoxication involved in a lot of cases. But at least,
But either way, I think sexual frustration should be talked about more, should be normalized more, and
I don't think we should, as adults and even teenagers, like, we shouldn't put it all on the parents, or not on the parents, but on the school system to teach our kids this. Like, as parents, you need to, like, step up as the child's, like, life giver and be like, okay, like, I'm gonna teach you about this beautiful and sacred part of life.
Yeah, don't make it by parents being more, like, shy about it and, like, don't want to talk about it. That in turn makes their child not want to talk about it or, like, express it more. And especially when, like, you're going through puberty, like, of course you need to talk about that type of stuff.
It's confusing.
It's confusing, and you have lots of urges. Like, sex is on your mind a lot, and to have no one to talk to you about it or, like, to explain it to you is hard. And if a parent were to step in and be like, this is a beautiful thing, we all deal with this, and, like, have someone close to you talk about that type of stuff, is even better.
Because then you can come back and talk to them about it. And, like, if it's a teacher and talking to, like, 20 kids, who's going to really go back to that teacher and be like, oh, this is happening to me? And would the teacher really want to respond with, like, a genuine response?
Not only that, though, but, like, that can be seen in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And, no, absolutely, like, it needs to be talked about more. And even, like, especially now, we, as two individuals, should talk about it more, because I think that's a big problem in relationships. People don't communicate, which we talked about, but also, in terms, where was I going with that? People don't communicate, but then also, I just think that I can't remember what I was going to say.
I'm sorry, I gave you a foot massage.
No, that wasn't it. I couldn't remember before you did that. You can keep going, though.
I think people just don't know how to start the conversation. Like, how do you really even just, like, this is what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think it's important to weigh both sides when you speak about something like that. Like, knowing that our society looks at it strangely, be like, okay, I know how it would feel like if somebody said this to me, so I'm going to go in and say it, but then, like, step ahead and be like, this is not what I'm trying to accomplish. This is what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah.
I think people should do that no matter how they communicate about what they communicate. They should always be like, hey, I know this may come off this way. This is not what I'm trying to do. Here's what it is. This is what I'm trying to tell you, like, or, like, mean to tell you by saying this, or, like, this is where I'm trying to go. I just want you to listen to me, or I just want you to hear me out. I just want you to, like, I don't know.
I think that takes a lot of confidence in itself.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, like, if you're sexually frustrated, you're built up and you're confused, and you go to, like, say something, you're not going to be like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to say, so just, like, give me time to say this, but this is what I'm trying to get at. I think we just need to let people finish talking.
That's a big problem.
And this goes back to our conversation before, but, like, in that instance, like, you have to kind of express your position, but then, like, okay, I understand, like, how this may seem, like, build both sides, and then, like, reference the middle ground.
I also think in those times it's hard to get everything out all at once. So you need... I have to burp so bad. Oh, my God. But,
Don't swallow it.
I didn't. It just wasn't coming out because I can't burp.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. But I think that people need to just... I think people need to just, like, sit down and be like, okay, don't speak until I've finished talking. Or, like, can you just, like, listen to me while I say everything? And when I want you to speak, like, I'll let you know. But, like, I don't know where I'm going to go with this. I just know I need to get something out. And so then you have your time to ramble and go from here to here to here to here and get to your point without someone being like, wait, what? Or, like, wait, hold on. But I definitely do that all the time. So I think we definitely need to work on that.
And I think it's important to understand where these words are coming from, too. A lot of the time, we really forget, and we think that the brain rules this entire vehicle we walk around in. When in reality, it's the emotions, the heart, that are translated through the mind and then out the mouth.
Yeah. I also think, I mean, I guess this goes the same way, but putting yourself in someone else's shoes is really important because we don't do that enough. With anything, we don't put each other, like, ourselves in each other's shoes and be like, okay, maybe they're feeling this because of this. Or, like, I have been in a situation kind of like that. This is how it felt. Oh, this makes sense. You know? Or...
just to admit that you really don't know. You really can't understand. I think we just don't give each other enough time. We live in such a fast-paced world at the moment that we're really just building up frustration in the entire thing.
Absolutely.
We're building up this pressure of, like, credit, student loan credit, all these different things.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong for saying it, but God, it may just be sexual frustration.
Can we name this podcast? God, it might just be sexual frustration.
Done. Oh my God, a hat.
Sorry for my attitude. It may just be sexual frustration.
God, it might be just sexual frustration. Or a kid's book. No. I
mean...
like, that might be good, like an informative kid's book, but just like, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I think it's more of a joke at this point.
Okay. Oh my God. I don't know.
We need to start setting a timer for these things.
Yeah,
I don't know how long I've been talking.
Oh, well, it's okay.
How do you feel, Hannah? How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm tired, but I think that's about it. I woke up early.
Yeah, you woke up early. You always wake up early and just start talking as if, like, we've been up for, like, 5 hours.
Okay.
And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm trying to listen intently. And then we're like, oh, you're asleep now. Okay, I can't go back to sleep. I guess I'll get up and stretch my legs.
Yeah, literally, like, I did this more when we first started dating. I kind of went through a period where I didn't really do this much. I think I was just really tired from doing this all the time, but I'll wake up randomly and just be wide awake. And that's with me with a lot of things. It's very rare that I wake up and I'm like, I want to sleep more. But a lot of the times I'm like, I'm up and I can't fall back asleep. And so I just keep talking and I just want to talk to you because I'm like, don't want to sit there alone by myself and like bored. And so
I think that is hilarious because every time I wake up with like something I want to talk about, I start talking about it and then I get to the end and you're like, sorry, I fell asleep.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, that's fine. At least I got to say it.
That's so funny. Oh my God. Yeah, no, I just want to talk and talk and talk, and then I realize it's 6 a.m, but I can't go back to sleep. It's like my body knows it's had enough sleep. It's like, no, you need to be up now. Like, there's no way you can sleep more. You know, like my body knows that if I wake up at this time, I will be at optimal energy. If I sleep more, I'll just be drained more.
Yeah, I want to start getting up earlier.
Same. I want to start getting up at like 6:37. That's the goal.
Yeah. 6:30 would be beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morning walk before everything gets bustling and hustling.
Oh my God, that would be so beautiful.
Yeah.
A morning walk. I also want to have time to do yoga and stuff. I just like love, but recently I've been wanting to do yoga at night, which is never anything I've wanted to do. I've always wanted to do yoga in the morning and only the morning. And now I'm just like, nah, a nice stretch after the day? That sounds beautiful. So.
I think, like, yeah, both those things, like, I don't know, pertain to frustration also. Not waking up to give yourself time to really wake up and, like, prepare yourself. So you're just like, you're in the day. Do your thing.
Yeah.
Type those letters. Send those emails.
Call
crunch those numbers.
phones.
Flip those burgers. Smack dab those receipts.
Smack dab?
Yeah, smack dab those receipts.
Oh my god.
Bag those groceries. Hopefully in a reusable bag. Paper, preferably. Or just use your hands.
Yeah, we carry out a lot of things.
I feel like we're rambling on here.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, guys, just let us know if you like us just talking too. I mean, we can do something like that. We're really just trying to like pick like points to have discussions about. But if you just like us talking, that's sweet. Take a little bit of stress off us.
Get us blah, 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 blah. Get out some frustration. Yeah, honestly, thank you guys for listening. First of all,
thank you.
You guys are awesome. But also, I only have one last thing I have to say. So you say what you want to say, and then I can say it.
We have merchandise coming soon. Really cool stuff. Couple shirts, sweatshirt, some stickers. Definitely more stuff in the process. We got loads of things. Loads. Oodles and doodles and gloodles of ideas just compiling.
And I want to also mention that the garments themselves are sustainable, eco-friendly, no sweatshops, anything like that, made in the process of the garments. We do all of our printing locally.
Canton T-shirt factory.
Collinsville T-shirt factory.
Oh my god.
You tried though.
I totally scratched the record.
Yeah, you did. But eventually our goal... Oh wait, our stickers too are... Let's see, they're eco-friendly. They're water-resistant, heat-resistant, oil-resistant. I want to say they're biodegradable, but I may be wrong, so don't quote me on that. I can't remember at the moment. I will get back to you.
It'll for sure be listed before you buy them.
Yeah.
You could
but
tell.
Our goal is to eventually be able to make everything, like, have even the ink and everything be as eco-friendly as possible. We want to make the process as eco-friendly as possible, but it's hard for us at the moment. So we're doing our best.
Monetarily.
Monetarily.
Brings us to another thing. We have a Patreon. Yes, thank you. Yeah. You're gonna have some exclusive content if you become a patron. Some days in the life, some cooking videos, which we're getting pretty good at, honestly.
Yeah, we are. We're just gonna put like some cool content, and then also like that no one else gets to see unless you're subscribed to us. So you'll be in the inside. But also, we haven't really talked too much about this, but I think we wanted to do something where if you either I can't remember if we're doing subscriptions, if we're doing donations.
I think there's an option for both.
Okay, well, if you donate certain amounts of money, we'll give you free stuff,
like a T-shirt or something like that.
Yeah. So we'll get back to you on that. We'll tell you all the information when we get it all set up.
When it's set up, you'll see it. Check out our Instagram as always @_ Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Do you think that's a page?
@_?
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll look into that. That'll be kind of fun. But @earthlyminds_ No. Oh my god.
@earthly_minds.
Thank you, Hannah.
You're welcome.
What would I do without you?
By this time, will our website be up?
Maybe. Yeah. The merch may or may not be on there by the time you see it, but coming soon for sure. We're actually gonna go talk to the lady tomorrow and get that settled. But
in the meantime,
check it
earthlyminds.com.
Blog something, talk to us.
Yeah,
leave comments.
is a thing. We write some blog posts. We're gonna put some videos up there too because we'll be doing some YouTube at that point. We'll put our podcast up there too.
Yeah.
Some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Share the love.
Oh, can I say my last thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys. Share the love. Listen to us next time and go jack it if you need to.
Amen.
Yeah. Get rid of that sexual frustration.
Or find a friend, but ask politely.
Yes. And consent.
Consent,
Remember
consent,
that.
consent.
Mm-hmm. Find
Just
a
act with
friend
the
or
love.
3, or yourself.
3.
Or 4.
Or
Whatever
4.
people want.
Exactly.
Whatever you want. Just do whatever you want. But release that sexual frustration in a positive way.
Okay, yeah.
In a positive way. That's the only way I can explain what I'm trying to say. But you all know what I know and I'm saying. You all know. Okay.
We love you guys.
Bye.
Have fun out there.